Okay, so for this tutorial we're going to use learn the basics of UV unwrapping and texturing in Blender. So when Blender starts, it starts with its Blender render engine by default. Let's change this to Clycles. We're going to get rid of the square box that's here, or the cube, and we're going to add just a basic circle. I'm going to change to side view by hitting 3 on my numpad and then 5 to make sure I'm in orthographic view, and hit add mesh, and we're going to use a circle. So this is a bit of an expansion just on making our water fountain. So this is just going to be essentially the base of the water fountain. So kind of like we did the other things, we're just going to extrude a circle. So right now it's shaded view. So I'm going to go Z so I can go to wireframe, and then in edit mode, A for deselect all, and then B for border select. I'm going to grab the bottom vertices, change to top view using the 7 on my number pad, and then hit F for fill. If we don't fill our vessel, the water will fall out. So that's good. So we have a basic vessel here, and we're ready to move on. Now I want to add concrete texture to this. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to choose my materials tab, and I'll create a new material and we'll call it concrete. Okay, it is going to be a diffuse BSDF, and instead of color I'm going to select the little dot next to it, and I'm going to say it's going to be an image texture. Okay, now by default, I don't know if you can see some of these things, it made this pink texture. I'm going to load a new texture on it. I saved one to my desktop called this concrete, and so you can kind of see that it's going to map it like what you see in this preview screen. But if I go F12, it doesn't quite show up exactly how I want, or when I'm not really sure how it's mapped it to the feature. So what we're going to have to do is use our UV editor to check things out, and this is helpful if I have two screens. So I'll expand out the screen here. Don't need this right now, and I'll expand this screen. Over on this one, I'll make sure I'm in edit mode, and I'll hit A to make sure all my vertices are selected. And then I'm going to change to UV image editor. Now it's bringing up the last image that I rendered. So what I actually want to do is hit X, and it's going to give me a grid showing the way that my concrete will be mapped to this. Now right now it's not mapped at all. That's why we didn't see anything in the texture window. Sometimes you'll go here, if you have mapped it, and you might have to edit some of the things in here to make your mapping line up. But we're going to let Blender do all the hard work for us. So I'm going to go over in this window again, and I'm going to hit U, and there's a bunch of different options. But again, we're hoping that Blender's being smart, so I'm going to use Smart UV Project. So it'll take my image and kind of project it onto this flat surface, accept all the defaults, hit OK, and so this is what it's done. It's kind of said, okay, well this will be your cone shape area, and then these are probably these 90-degree angles around here. If you would have widened this out a bit so that it was all cone, it would have been more simplistic map. But this is going to work out okay for us. Now if we go ahead and hit F12, you can see that it has mapped this concrete, and it hasn't done too bad a job of it, onto this 3D object in its best guesstimation. You could fine-tune this in different ways by setting your own cuts, but at the end of the day it did a pretty good job, and that's the basics of UV mapping. Hopefully this will get you started. Goodbye.